Welcome in, McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Live on Jox. It is Thursday, August 14th. Hope you guys having a good week. Getting set for a little more college football. We're going to get you closer today. And unfortunately, we come full circle again today, which I feel like we've done about 5 times here in the offseason for the Auburn Tigers. We'll have Zach Barnett coming up in 20 minutes. He will discuss an article that he has out sort of referencing a tweet of a quote from Gus Malzahn. Gus Malzahn. I was watching Florida State stuff before the show today.
That's twice in the last 5 minutes. I love it.
Well, I stayed up watching the Dodgers-Angels last night, which was a hell of a game.
You had to know what was going to happen.
Logan O'Hop, walk-off.
Another one.
Zach Neto, great.
Dodgers.
Big hit late.
Dodgers been walked off 2 games in a row.
Have you ever seen anything like this with the Dodgers right now? They have been swept by the Angels this season.
Over. They haven't lost to the Angels this year. Yeah. 3 walk-offs.
Haven't won against the Angels. They've lost every game.
That's what I meant. They haven't beaten them. 3 walk-offs.
How about Shohei last night? First player since 1900 to lead off with a triple and start a pitcher the same game. 1900. It's been a minute since that happened.
I'd say 1900 was a while ago.
Also,
that was right around the time when Sewanee went undefeated.
I wish I could remember all those guys' nicknames from that team. Can't right now. Also, for the first time since September 25th, 2010, the Padres are in first place in the West this late in the season.
Oh, my goodness.
How are you feeling about it?
I mean, I just don't care anymore.
Oh, now you don't care.
No, I'm just like, I can't hang on every single game, every single pitch. Like, this team has felt snake bit. They have so many injuries to the bullpen. They have absolutely no depth with pitching because everybody gets hurt. They have
an $8 billion payroll in their snake bit.
Look how many guys are on the IL. It's
go buy more guys.
You can't do that this time of year. Believe me, if we could, we would. I'm sure we would. But the amount of guys that we have that are banged up and have been all season
pay
is
for tougher
absurd.
Guys.
That's what we need. We had a bunch of paper mache guys. All right, let's go through this. All right. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 guys on our 40-man roster that are currently on the injured list.
Nobody feels sorry for the Dodgers.
I'm not suggesting that they should. All I'm telling you is that this has been the most snake bit season I've ever seen.
Let's go through how meaningful this is. Kirby Yates, Tanner Scott, Tommy Edman.
Tanner Scott's our starting closer.
Enrique Hernandez.
Kirby Yates is our starting, our best relief pitcher.
Max Muncy, Brock Stewart, all the big names.
Kike Hernandez.
All the big names.
You don't have to say they're having 3 of your relief pitchers on the IL, and that's our problem. That's our biggest issue. And we just got 2 back. Blake Trainin just got back. A handful of other guys just got back. Like it's not great.
Well, when you have Kershaw, Yamamoto, Shohei, Glasnow, Blake Snell, I feel like you should be okay. I don't care what your bullpen
Kershaw, Snell, and Shohei's only pitched like 6 or 7 games, and Glasnow, but Snell, Kershaw, and Glasnow have been on the IL for months.
Okay.
They're all back now, but
nobody cares about this.
No one's saying you should feel sorry for us. I'm not suggesting that you should.
I feel like you're looking for sorrow here.
Oh, here, Michael Kopech. He's coming back from a 60-day IL. He's our
big name.
He's our setup guy. Tony Gonsolin, who's a starter, but it sounds like he's going to be done for the year. I mean, it's just been an unlucky season. It's just the way it goes. I mean, it just is what it is.
All right. Zach Barnett takes a quote from Justin Hokanson day before yesterday on Auburn play calling. And Zach is going to join us in about 13 minutes. We'll ask him about this. And just more importantly, Zach works for Football Scoop. So he is entrenched in the coaching world, understands how it operates, where it is. He reports on coaching moves, talks to coaches. So he'll be able to help us understand it just a little bit more. I can't help you understand what Justin Hokanson shares. and Hoke's been on the show before. He does a great job covering Auburn, but he tweets out 2 days ago, since we spoke with Derek Nix and Ken Austin yesterday, just to reiterate, if you're an Auburn fan in your car, maybe pull over and stop.
Oh, boy.
Just take a deep breath.
Oh, boy.
Nix handles first down strategy / play calling. Austin handles third down strategy / play calling. And as Nick said, if you freeze, head coach has authority to overrule anything we say or do. How often is freeze overruled, he asked. Quote, it depends on how the game's going, but he's highly involved. To me, he's an outstanding play caller, and I've learned everything from him. I feel like I know where that was directed. He also has, generally speaking.
I didn't even pick that up.
Well, that's my only out for this whole thing. I mean, we'll get to that in a moment. Generally speaking, Freeze, there's no doubt it's a combined effort to some degree, but Freeze is a primary play caller and has authority to overrule everything. That's what Hokinson adds to this. All right, let's just start with this. If it's operating this way.
But hang on, let me just address the quick shot across the bow against Lane.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, was Derek Nix not threatened with a lawsuit for leaving unless he was primary play caller? I mean, that's factual information, correct? So
yeah.
Okay, there you go.
I love it.
All right, so
I love the cattiness. It's the best.
Well, and it works both ways.
100%.
If it does operate, let's just say 60% of the time, the way that it's laid out by Justin Hokinson through quotes from Derek Nix, Ken Austin, Hugh Freeze. Have you in your life ever heard anything like this? That's what I thought.
I am kind of befuddled because what in any leadership world, help me understand this. And it doesn't matter if you have a business of 6 employees, a business of 2 employees, a business of 2 million employees like IBM, like whatever the circumstances are. How many businesses function smoothly and or properly with 3 CEOs?
I have not heard of many.
Well, I just feel like if I were setting up a company, and if you really look at it, a football team is a conglomerate, right? That's that's the structure of what a football team is. You have your defensive company, that's your defense. Your offensive company, that's your offense. Your special teams company that uses some pieces of both. It's a conglomerate.
Yep.
And within my conglomerate, if I'm the head coach, I am the CEO of that conglomerate. I don't think I want to have 17 presidents in charge of what's going on the defensive side. I think I want one voice. And with Auburn, it doesn't sound like there is one voice. It sounds like there's at least 2, maybe 3. And I don't know how that functions smoothly or properly.
I will say this, everything that I'm hearing from camp and people that I've talked to, Durkin has been outstanding. Not just his entire tenure there, but specifically in fall camp. And the defense through him, not necessarily just individuals dominating, has looked pretty good.
No doubt.
That's the word that I've gotten. So
okay, well, let's talk about the offense then.
But we could also follow that up with, I can tell you perfect example of how dysfunctional it is when one operates as their own past what would normally be how they would operate. And that would be Bill Oliver would shut practice down an hour before the team's practice was finished because he didn't feel like they needed to practice that long. He was probably right. But they would go out there and it'd be period 18, they'd be done, and we would go to 24. And they would go in, watch film, and come back out so the team could all, take a knee around the coach and be told what the week's plans were every day. Who was in trouble, who had good grades, what we were going to do tomorrow, what not to do that night, so on and so forth. We did that, and it was completely backwards.
Yeah.
And so I think maybe the defensive side seems to be okay, but if this, like I said, I have one out for this whole thing. I have one out, and I'll lay that out for you here in just a second, but this just reeks of dysfunction. And keep in mind, this very well could be, I don't know another way to say this. This very well could just be a cover-up. And this very well could be a way to prop others up, which is fine. Which is honestly why I'm not going to make a huge deal about it, because My gut tells me that that's largely how it operates.
You mean
I
because
also
of the
know that-
contract
correct.
stipulations
Yes.
surrounding Derek Nix is higher?
Yes. He
Which is
has to
fine.
be stated as the primary play caller. But with multiple other things this offseason, Greg, it feels like this is a distraction that could have been avoided very easily. All you have to do is ask me the question about who calls plays.
Who calls plays?
Derek Nix is our primary play caller, but multiple folks have input. Thank you.
As opposed to
How many follow-ups do you have to that? Because when you state it with confidence that Derek Nix is your primary play caller, whether he is or not, most people are going to say, okay, cool, moving on.
this is basically Marshawn Lynch. I'm just saying this so I don't get fined type of deal. That's what's going on here. Like, I think for sure the cover-up storyline totally makes sense. The other thing, though, that concerns me, what have we seen already in the past from Auburn? Last year.
There was back and forth with play calling last year.
No, I'm not talking so much
but
about the play calling.
I'm just laying that out. There was. And at times, I believe it was a little bit problematic, but it was there.
What happened last year, though, that was the biggest problem? Deflecting blame. Oh, it's our quarterback's fault. No, it's my fault. Oh, it stops with me, but it's my quarterback's got to do better. Like, deflecting blame. So now if the offense lays an egg against Baylor week 1, who are we blaming? Like, you got to take ownership to an extent, right? Like, hey, the offense is my responsibility. The defense is my responsibility. Quarterback play is on the quarterback. And we got to make sure that he's coached up to the point in which he doesn't make mistakes. Like, I just sometimes.
Now, are you saying that part of this you believe could be paving the way for more of that?
No, it just concerns me knowing that was a problem last year. Like, I need to know who's in charge of what. And I feel like there needs to, and I just, if for whatever reason now, what if first down they don't gain a yard all year, and third down, what if third down they're awful all year? Is that Ken Austin's fault?
I think that's where I was going, is some people might hear this in the way that you're laying it out and say, oh, so this is all being, we've got, the big road grader now. What is it called? The big roller thing.
Yeah.
Pave the road. What are those things called? Roller?
Steamroller?
We've got the roller set up now to pave the road for when things go bad on first down for a game, and we were stuck in a bunch of 2nd and 10, 2nd and 11s. Y'all heard who handles first down?
Yeah.
That's Coach, you were 1 for 12 on third down. Well,
that one's on Ken.
We got to talk to our third down play caller about that.
Yeah.
It just
who's in the
some
red zone?
Some people may assume that it's the road is being paved for that. I don't know.
It's also not as simple as just, hey, first down, third down. There's red zone. There's 2-minute. There's
4-minute.
Yeah, there's
maybe more
melt the clock 4-minute. There's
middle 8.
There's a P&10, which by the way is the first play of the drive, is oftentimes a different strategy than a standard 1st and 10. First play of the drive, P&10. That's a little different sometimes.
Script, off script.
Script, off script. Yeah, goofy, off schedule, on schedule. Target plays where you're trying to get to a certain guy because he hasn't got enough looks. Like who's calling those? I don't know. I just wish Hugh Freeze would say, you know what, we're gonna get sued. I don't care. I'm calling the plays. That would make me feel a little bit better. But then again, hiring Derek Nix the way he did and the circumstances surrounding it with Ole Miss and the relationship there, I mean, you got to kind of cover your bases a little bit. But man, it's just going to be low-hanging fruit in the event in which the offense underwhelms again this year. This story will be brought up again. Like, I am limiting risk here. I'm limiting distractions. I'm limiting negative conversations. From Auburn's vantage point, you don't want those things because people already think your program's dysfunction junction and have for years, long before Hugh Freeze got there. So now this doesn't help matters if they go out and hang 17 against Baylor. You know what I mean? It's just people are going to pick on this, and they're just going to gravitate to the negativity. And I just don't think you need to give it to them. And I don't know why Auburn seemingly always does.
It goes back to the point of it felt like this just could have been avoided, but in one side of it, you appreciate clarity, honesty, transparency. But on the flip
if
side,
it is any of those things,
well, but there's a reason that coaches have frustrated us for 100 years with coach speak.
125 dating back to Swanee
Things
99.
that don't need to be out there. Things that people don't need to know. You don't need to know exactly how everything operates.
Yeah, we don't have to tell you. That's the other thing. They don't really have to tell us anything. How many things have we learned from Lane Kiffin in his press conferences?
Not many.
He doesn't like Coke.
Yeah, that's true. He doesn't like sugar.
Yeah, he kind of took a shot
Doesn't
at
like
that.
sugar.
Yeah.
What else have we learned? What did we learn from Nick Saban at press conferences other than like just driving home a point? And I mean, honestly, like
About the operation, almost nothing.
no, like yeah, the inner workings of the actual organization, nothing. The messaging, sure. That's what the press conferences should be used for.
And I think we made a big deal about when Kirby came out and said, we don't want a GM. What do you think we do? It's part of our job. But the fact that he laid out part of that, I mean, we spent multiple segments on that today that it was said because we just thought, wow, he's actually pulling back the curtain here just a little bit. Doesn't happen from him a whole lot.
No, it was probably accidental. I don't know, man. I want Auburn to win this year. I do. I will be the first to admit. And I think they can win. I think that's why I want them to win because I think they can. But it just, things like this just make me angry.
And one of the reasons I think they can will be if the defense is truly taking steps. We'll hear from DJ Durkin after we talk to Zach Barnett. We'll talk to Zach, who wrote this article, taking some of the quotes from Justin Hokanson and tweets from Auburn, or quotes from Auburn coaches in his tweet that he included. And we'll see his thoughts and kind of maybe he looks at it like we do, that the cover up that is there, the context in which things are being said intentionally is why we should brush this to the side, or should we be more concerned? Alabama heat and humidity, you should probably be concerned about that. Don't let it affect your home and family. Keep them comfortable in an affordable Trane cooling system. They've been recognized as America's most trusted brand 11 consecutive years, and they're the official cooling partner here at Jox. Find a comfort specialist near you at Trane.com. It's hard to stop a Trane. Zach Barnett of Football Scoop joins us next right here on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Going to get to Zach Barnett of Football Scoop here in just a moment. Continue talking Auburn play calling. Before we do that, we know who calls the plays at Bromberg's, Greg.
Well, they're the very best. Who calls the plays? That's the customer. You just have a better experience when you go shop at Bromberg's. That elevated experience. The jewelry is timeless, absolutely beautiful jewelry. And if you look at just everything that is kind of surrounding the Bromberg experience, it's only going to get better with the renovation that's currently going on at the Mountain Brook store. It really is. It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to seeing what it looks like because I already thought the experience was elevated beyond what I could have imagined. And now it's going to be even better. So highly recommend you go and check out Bromberg's in Mountain Brook Village and at the Summit. You can also check them out online at brombergs.com.
All right, let's go to the Higginbotham hotline. Welcome in Zach Barnett of Football Scoop. This article we were referencing a little bit earlier, written by Zach, referencing the Auburn play calling. Now, for me, Zach, there's an easy out here. In the Derek Nix left Ole Miss, the stipulations that were still in that contract, and this coaching staff kind of trying to work around that to allow legally him not to be sued, I guess. Could it be that easy of a solution for you? Or do you still see mass operation as working on that side of the football?
I'll say that wouldn't be the first time in college. He left. He had to leave any to his school. So Sean technically, but it at arrangement as this particularly every great coordinator head 48 hours to Stone Tap. This person worked similarly.
In football, you could find a right-handed quarterback that can throw on the run to the left, but maybe those guys are harder to find than you realize. Zach, some of the only thing that concerns me about this is not that it could be a cover-up. I don't really care about that. If it is, that's great. That's contractually working on things. I'm fine with that. What concerns me, though, is that last year there was a lot of finger-pointing, and there's a lot of the blame game being played at Auburn, where it's the quarterback's fault. Oh, it's this guy's fault. It's that guy's fault. And there's the ownership was kind of lacking at times. That's my only fear here. And I feel like now when you have the play calling responsibilities divvied up, if they're 1 for 12 on third down, now all of a sudden Kent's going to get an earful and they're going to say, it's kind of deflecting blame onto that. Like, at what point does that become problematic for the team's culture?
That's a great point. And then, you can even go further and, if it's 3rd and 10, that's kind of a first down. We got a lot of 1st and 10 plays we like. Let's go with our first down play sheet. You can go deep into this wormhole as you want. And I think you're asking the ultimate question, Greg, is who has ownership over this and who's ultimately the best man to actually call these plays. If it's Hugh Freeze, I understand there may be contractual questions here, but if it's you, then have Hugh call it. There's plenty of successful head coaches that call their own plays. At the NFL, almost half of them do. If it's not Hugh, then Hugh needs to trust the guys that he's hired to do the job to actually do the job. And if the really my question, my biggest worry for Auburn is that Kent and Derek Nix are going to be calling plays that, if it's their turn to call a play, are they calling the play in that situation that they think is the best, or are they calling the play that they think Hugh wants them to call? Sometimes those are going to be the same. Sometimes they might not be. And so I think if we're playing this game of keep away, so to speak? That's my biggest question, and it boils down to what you alluded to at the beginning is just ownership. Where's the buck stop with his offense?
It's an interesting point. Is do you get to where you're essentially trying to call plays not to be overridden, just to prove yourself right to the head coach, as opposed to doing what's best for the football team and trying to win? All those things can creep into your head mentally when you're trying to do something like that. What's another example you have of anything close to this? Maybe even just from an input standpoint, coaches you've spoken to, staffs you've spoken to, where, hey, we lean on our running back coach, Coach McElroy, on first downs. Whether it's opening a drive, whether it's in the middle of a drive, middle of the game, late in the game, whatever that is, like I go to him and I at least get his idea, and then we go from there. Or, our wide receiver coach, Coach Saber, he gives us third down ideas. I lean on him for our third down ideas no matter what. It might not be the play call, but at least from a communicative standpoint, that's how it operates. Do you have anything close to that you can at least point to or reference?
I know a lot of staffs, I think kind of your similar division of labor is you might have your offensive line coach. He's in charge of red zone. And so that
short yardage.
That doesn't necessarily mean when you cross the 20 that he's got the aux, so to speak, to call the plays, but he's designing the call sheet for the red zone. And then that gets uploaded or put onto the call sheet, and you're choosing from the menu that he selected, and obviously presented to the offensive coordinator or the head coach. But he's done the film work, the study, and selected the 8, 10, 12 plays that are going to work best in the red zone. A certain guy will have third downs. A certain guy will have drive starters. But they're ultimately presented among the group and then presented to the offensive coordinator, the play caller. He gives his okay. And so maybe he didn't arrange every single one on there, but he's the one ultimately calling every single play, but with heavy input from the rest of the staff. I think that's the most typical arrangement of how this work is usually divided.
Looking at Hugh, I think he's got the support of the big money boosters. I do. I think he's got great support there. I think he's done a good job of nurturing those relationships, and those are the guys that ultimately make the call. Now, those guys traditionally have been a little bit unpredictable and can turn in an instant. So where exactly does he land right now, as far as the support within the biggest decision makers in the program from your vantage point?
I think I agree. I mean, he was himself come out and said that we need to win this year. I think I'm not going to give you a number because it always depends on how that number is arrived at. But I know that 5 or 6 is not the number that anyone at Auburn has in mind. And I think ultimately it boils down to how Jackson Arnold performs this year, because Oklahoma essentially put him on the trash heap, and Hugh stumbled by and said, "I can turn this guy into something." And if Jackson Arnold plays like the guy everybody thought he was going to be coming out of high school, including me. I mean, I saw him play in high school, and my reaction was they need to get this guy off the field. He's too good to be playing high school football. He was dominant when I saw him play. So I was surprised by his struggles at Oklahoma. But, I mean, he was a disaster at Oklahoma, frankly. Took too many sacks, turned the ball over way too often. If he's still that guy at Auburn, then he's probably getting fired. A, because the team didn't win well enough, and B, because his calling card offense, he's proven that he either made the wrong decision in terms of who he recruited, or his player development chops aren't where they need to be to win at Auburn. Now, if Jackson Arnold plays like the 5-star recruit that he was, Auburn wins 8, 9, 10 games, and we're not even discussing Hugh's job security.
Zach, I wasn't going to ask you this or kind of go down this path when you joined the show, but I mean this with all sincerity. Does that make Jackson Arnold individually the most important player in college football to sort of all of it? Like how everything goes? I mean, maybe John Mateer is in this discussion because I think Venables could be in a similar spot if things don't go well there, but it almost feels like this has even more ramifications because of some of the reasons you outlined.
Yeah, Mateer was going to be the other one that I was going to name, simply because Oklahoma has installed such a power structure that is so independent of Brent Venables that they could eject him, and they could fire Brent Venables and even keep Ben Arbuckle. Like, that wouldn't be the most shocking outcome to me. I think, they have basically Randall Stevenson's basically the AD now, who got there after Brent, and Brent certainly didn't have any input in hiring. They have Jim Nagy. I'm not going to say Brent protested his hiring or anyway, but I don't think Brent. It was a situation where, hey, we're going to hire this guy, not who do you think we should hire? It's we're hiring this guy. So all of that infrastructure is going to exist whether Brent Venables is the head coach or not. So he obviously went out and got Arbuckle and Mateer. So I think, to answer your question, I think those two quarterbacks are most tied to their head coaches of anyone in college football.
Zach, we appreciate the time this morning. Great stuff kind of laying this out. Great job on the article as well. We look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Sounds good. Anytime.
There you go. Zach Barnett, footballscoop.com. Find his work there. Has an article out about this play calling situation at Auburn. How problematic do you think it is? 800-239-9569, 800-239-WJOX. Is it along what potentially could mean down the road, the fact that it's being discussed publicly the way that it is? Or do you look at this, turn the page, and say, it's the way it's been, Hugh's going to run it the way he runs it, and I'm not worried about it? You can text into the show, 205. You can also tweet into the show, at Mac and Cube. We'll continue this discussion next right here on Jox. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. 800-239-9569 if you want to get in. 800-239-WJOX. That'll get you on the Higginbotham hotline. This discussion about Auburn play calling. And after our conversation with Zach Barnett, Greg, are you less concerned, more confused about the situation with how play calling is being managed allegedly at Auburn?
I would say more confused is probably the most appropriate answer. I don't understand how this works seamlessly unless it's purely to avoid any conflict as it relates to the past employer status of Derek Nix at Ole Miss. To me, that makes perfect sense. And it's not that uncommon, by the way, to have a coach whose primary focus throughout the week is to do the third down game plan. That is not uncommon. So I can live with Ken Austin doing the third downs. I've just never heard a guy that's responsible exclusively for first down and then a guy that's exclusively responsible for third down with second down being up in the air. That to me I've never heard that arrangement. But the third down arrangement is not that uncommon. That has happened before. I don't love it because I feel like as a play caller, not that I've ever done it in a live game, I feel like there's a certain rhythm to calling plays and you kind of get in that rhythm and then all of a sudden you kind of get the hot hand as a play caller. So I'm not one that kind of likes to delegate that responsibility. Cole, from your vantage point, how comfortable are you with a guy that's responsible exclusively just for third down as opposed to a guy that might be doing first and second down by himself?
If that's the way it goes, and I'm going to keep saying that because I don't even know if I have true clarity on it. And the more I talk about it, I think I'm less concerned about the operation and just more concerned about how it's gotten to this point publicly. As you stated before, potentially outlining reasons down the road of how it could be discussed, or just the fact that an FU coach could have stepped in here and said, stop talking about that. Here's our answer for that. Derek Nix handles the primary play calling. Everyone has input. And it's over. It's not to this point. And there just feels like there have been multiple things that could have been handled that way and could have been shut down like that. But nobody wants an FU coach anymore because they want everybody to tell them yes. So that's what we get. Do I think that there's this discombobulation on the headset on first down and then second down and then third down with three different people? No, I don't. I think we know who the primary offensive voice is on the staff. It's why he was hired. It's why he's there. It's why he's the head coach. I don't really have a problem with the guy saying, I've heard a couple of guys that we've sat in meetings with and say, I know I can always turn to so-and-so on first down and if I need an idea, or if there's a tendency that I need to break, or if there's something that maybe I haven't noticed in the game, and they'll be that voice of reason for me. I've told the story about Barry Odom and Michael Shearer when he was on his staff at Arkansas. And Shearer was essentially his FU guy. Shearer was always the guy that would say, stick to the plan. Stay with the plan. Stay with the plan. Because Barry wanted to pressure and Barry wanted to be aggressive and do different things. And Shearer would just say, don't do it. Stay back. This is how we plan for this. It's going to work. You have to trust it. So having a guy that is more in tune with third downs and how you need to operate there, and he's watched more and he's put more time in it intentionally during the week, I would have no issue with somebody being sort of your idea guy on third down. Because I'm not sitting here thinking that there's 3 headphone channels and Hugh's sitting there switching the channels on every down. I don't think that's real. It's just not. Like I know, there's just not enough time for that. There isn't. Now, if something else is happening from a football team perspective and a drive is beginning and he gets on the headset and says, Derek, take this. And he's got to go down and talk to DJ Durkin about whatever the defense is doing, or he needs to get into an official for a couple of minutes because of a call that was made. Can totally see that.
Yeah.
But again, the bigger concern for me here is that we are to this point publicly, and it didn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. And maybe that's a lack of coaching in different departments that coaches don't care about. Maybe it's being too honest and transparent, which we have seen Hugh be since he's been there a couple of times. He's admitted that.
Yeah.
But I am not sitting here telling you sound the alarm on the operation because I don't think that that's overly problematic. Hugh has said it before. There are certain points in time in games where he says, I'm 0 for 4. I'm giving it to somebody else. Give me a pinch hitter, and he'll let somebody else call a series. He said that.
And I think that's great. That's super healthy. It's like giving another quarter, hey, pull your starter for a second, let the other guy get a series, just take a look, calm it down a little bit, and then get back in there. I think that's a perfectly fine way of handling play calling responsibilities. I don't think we need to get too caught up in it because, frankly, however it is they call it, is it a little bit irritating that it has to be kind of described that way because of contracts potentially? Yeah, that's a little irritating. But like at the end of the day, if they score points, like who cares? I don't care. I don't care if you have the kicker calling second down. If they're scoring points, it's all that matters. But doesn't it just kind of this year's all about execution. However they get there is fine. Last year, what cut them short was execution. And frankly, decision making and honestly, like timely play calling was a little bit of a problem as well. The best example of that being the Georgia 4th down. They had a busted play on 4th and 1. It can't happen. I don't care if you run the worst play on planet Earth. Like, you got to make those guys at least tackle you. So I just think that while apparently a little troubling, not the end of the world because it's ultimately about execution on game day. Regardless of who calls the plays, doesn't matter. If the players execute the way they're supposed to execute, it shouldn't be an issue.
What did you think of what I asked Zach Barnett? And folks are going to hear this and swerve off the road, throw their cell phone, whatever. But I want you to honestly, before you get frustrated, think about this for a second with the way that Zach laid it out. Because of how people view the Giants' swing and miss at quarterback last year.
Yeah.
And because of the perception of what Greg and I have laid out all the reasons it didn't go well for Jackson Arnold last year. And there's a laundry list of them. What would be after laundry list? Like, what's the next longest list? We always use a laundry list. Whatever the
grocery list.
It would be a grocery list of things that were working against him at Oklahoma last year.
A litany?
I mean, people walk around every day and be like, let me get
I don't dislike that at all.
Let me check my litany list here. That's long. It's a long one. There was a litany list of reasons it didn't go well for Jackson Arnold that weren't necessarily on him. Now, like you said, ultimately, he's the guy catching the snaps. Got to make a play. Let go of the football. But is it crazy to think that he may be the single most important player in college football when it comes to what's on the line for the program?
I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that. I hate to put that much pressure on as a young man that kind of fell victim to the pressure a little bit last year. But I think as far as prospects and possibilities this year, if he lives up to potential, Auburn goes from a 6-6 football team to a 10-2 football team potentially.
And I don't mean it to add extra pressure to Jackson Arnold himself. What I mean to do is that, because you could say if Gunnar Stockton goes out this year and completes 31% of his passes, has 4 touchdowns and 11 interceptions, people are going to say, woo, Kirby missed on that one. But Kirby didn't throw everything into the quarterback basket a year ago, and the public perception is that that was the biggest swing and miss of his career. So you don't have the follow-up at the same position where he is notably an expert at, where people would reference back to. Even if Thomas Castellanos and Gus Malzahn don't work for Norvell, he didn't have the giant miss the year before that people would reference back to and say, all right, this is 2 years in a row. This has gone bad for you. You obviously don't know what you're doing. And that's why I say that maybe this does fall into that category, because the perception of what did not happen based on that choice last year versus this appearing to be a giant choice again this year. And all of a sudden, if it doesn't go bad, I mean, Zach's quote on the show was, Hugh Freeze is going to get fired. I think that makes Jackson Arnold, when it comes to maybe the fallout of everything around him, potentially the most important player in college football. Yeah. Give me another one. I mean, John Mateer, like Zach said, may be up there.
Yeah, John Mateer's probably up there. I think you could make a case for Garrett Nussmeier, but that's not really an unknown, right? Like
Brian Kelly's not going to get fired because Nussmeier didn't work.
No, I'm not suggesting that. But I mean, if you're talking about possible fallout with a coaching staff, perhaps. I mean, you can make a case that if Florida State and Thomas Castellanos don't work out and they go 3-9 after a 2-10 last year, maybe there's some fallout there.
But that's a little more collective than
perhaps
on Castellanos.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot riding on it. There's no doubt about it. But the good news is, like, talent. Like, you cannot teach talent. Like, if you have talent, you have a chance. And we've said that forever and ever and ever. And if they play up to their potential, then there's no telling what could happen this year. But that is also a big if. That's not a guarantee. And given the inconsistencies of last year, that is of slight concern.
Has to be. We'd love to get your thoughts. 800-239-9569. 800-239-WJOX. Text into the show, 205-834-9450. You can tweet into the show at Mac and Cube. We'll get to some of your feedback on the other side. But first, John, tell our listeners if they want to be a part of the Jox kickoff party, they want to come hang out with us, talk some college football with us face-to-face, just exactly how some of our listeners here in the next week or so are going to be able to do that.
Yes, you can celebrate the start of the college football season with us a week from today over at Regents Field for the Jox Kickoff Party presented by Bill Smith Buick GMC. You can text the keyword SCORE and your name to 205-834-9450. That's 205-834-50. Winners are drawn daily. But this is your last week to enter, so you've got really today and tomorrow, so make sure you get it in. JoxFM for more details.
All right, so when we come back, your feedback on where we are here, jump on the Higginbotham hotline, 800-239-9569, and more on Auburn's play calling next on Jox. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Appreciate you guys tuning in. 869 if you want to get in. Let's go to John in Mobile. Wants to catch up on our discussions from today. Welcome into the show, John.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
So I'm down in Mobile. A couple of things. First, whoever to broadcast y'all down here needs a big, fat raise. So thank you very much.
Thank you for
I
listening.
used to listen to Jox all the time. I lived in Birmingham from 95 to 2010. Used to listen to y'all every single day. Is Ryan Haney still the suit, or is he up?
No, don't talk about him.
I don't know.
Don't talk about him.
No?
He's the
suit
Voldemort.
The suit is worn. It's dirty.
It's pressed.
wrinkly, but yes, he is still the suit.
Yes. Max suit.
Still the suit. All right, cool. All right. Well, hey, listen, thanks again for y'all putting that down here, and I'll be listening every day. Y'all have a blessed day. War Eagle.
War Eagle, we appreciate you, John. Thanks for tuning in. We're excited to be on in Montgomery, in North Alabama, in Mobile, statewide now. We appreciate that, and we appreciate you guys tuning in. John is in Birmingham, wants to chime in on the Higginbotham hotline. Welcome in, different John.
Hey, how you doing?
Great, how are you?
All right. Hey, Cole, let me ask you a question, man. Do you like Hugh Freeze, man? You and Hokanson?
I can't speak for Justin Hokanson. I've known Hugh Freeze for a long time. Yeah, I like him.
It just seemed like, you always come off kind of negative about Hugh Freeze, man. I think Hugh Freeze recruiting and everything he's doing at Auburn, I think he's doing a good job considering where he came from, man. I've played ball. All of us have played ball, man. And, just even going back to the play calling. All right, let's go all the way back to Pat Dye. You remember Larry Blakeney, the late Pat Sullivan, all of them were calling plays together. So I think you all kind of blowing this out of proportion, man. You know what I'm saying? Y'all just taking this to somewhere it don't have to be, man. I just think it's a little bit overblown.
I apologize for taking it to that place, in your opinion, John, but I appreciate you listening to the show. I feel like I did a fair job of laying out that if this is contractual, that would be your out here. But Zach Barnett, who writes for Football Scoop, covers Coaching Moons, says he's never heard anything like it. Greg has said he's never heard anything like it, if that's the way it operates, and we've put an if behind it. The problem that I've laid out is that it's gotten to this point publicly, where it's going to be a distraction, it's going to make people question it, and people are going to talk about it. So, have I been that negative?
I don't think none of us are negative. We're purely saying I've never heard it done like this. It's a little. I don't want to say it's necessarily uncomfortable. It's just I've never heard it done like this. Like it's a certain way of doing things, and kind of laid it out like, well, sounds like there's a few too many cooks in the kitchen from an offensive play calling standpoint, based on the story. Like I said, could be a contractual cover-up, to which I would completely understand to avoid lawsuit from Ole Miss. Totally get it. If that's what's going on, by all means. But it's not negative. It's just different.
Listen, John can say whatever he wants. Hugh Freeze is 11-14 at Auburn, 5-11 in the SEC. I'll wait for the cheerleaders to line up for that. You can call that negative. I call it real. I don't know what else to call it. Don quickly in Homewood. Welcome in, Don.
Hey, Cohen. Hey, guys, y'all aren't doing anything wrong. Kent Austin shouldn't have said what he said. Guys, I hate I'm going to miss the event next Thursday. I'm going on my cruise, but hopefully I'll see you guys soon. Thank you, Cohen. War Eagle.
Hope so, Don. War Eagle. Appreciate you listening to the show. Corey Reamer, former Alabama linebacker, going to join us on the other side. Has some pretty significant news to share. And we will talk Alabama Crimson Tide
Let's turn it up a little bit.
It's up.
How many holes are you going to punch in the wall today?
17.
Over.
Have I told you about these headphones?
As someone that has his own headphone issues, I'm a little more concerned with my.
How to deactivate voice activation.
Ooh.
So these Sony headphones have some kind of voice activation system that randomly turns on. All right, in the app, navigate the sound toggle, specifically speak to chat figure models on the WH1000XM4. Just tell me how to turn it off. Hold 2 fingers to the sensor until you hear speak to chat deactivated. She's not saying it. So what happens is when I talk, the headphones turn off.
Maybe not the other?
Because I've done it 100 times. So I can't hear what you guys say because when I start to talk, they turn off.
Oh.
That's what you get for buying Sony.
Oh, boy. Now it's Sony's fault.
Let's welcome in Corey Reamer to the show, who I will not be able to hear because my headphones will turn off every time I speak.
Let's go.
I still have you. That's the way it's going to go. But I'm just negative, and I just don't like people.
100%.
That's where we are today.
I've always thought that.
Corey, how are you doing?
That's a reputation around everywhere. Everybody knows that.
Everybody knows that. No doubt.
Yeah,
Just don't like people.
absolutely.
Just don't like it. That you have to is this fall.
Yeah. A lot. Since order group other film share that this into you get some questions. It was watching media. I was trying to figure out what's going to be fun.
Having a little.
Y'all know this. The fall is now pretty booked up. This is going to be, but I'm looking forward to this season. I don't know, I know y'all talked about it a ton. This, especially from the Alabama side, I've got a lot of excitement around what this team's going to be, and I think it's going to be a fun year to be a part of.
It's going to be a really fun year, bud. You're going to do awesome. You're going to love it. It's so fun, man. Nothing better than calling games. That's for sure. And being on the sideline, dude.
For sure.
I've always been jealous of Cole. I mean, the sideline, while in September, is a little less comfortable than October, November. It's going to be terrific, and you'll give a great vantage point. What do you think, Corey, are going to be some of your biggest priorities while on the sideline? Kind of watching players, watching coaches, watching scheme. Where do you think your eyes are going to navigate early in the season?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just trying to figure out exactly this defensive scheme. It was a lot easier to go out there when you've got Coach Saban's defense to be able to dissect from Alabama's defensive side of the ball exactly what they're trying to do. You can pick up on what, fire zone, cover 2, cover 3, give your insight on where the edge support is supposed to be in the run game. Now you've got to learn a little bit about what Kane Womack's trying to do. It's completely different. A lot less, man coverage on the outsides, a lot more zone, and different position names. I think that's the biggest thing early on is getting comfortable with what this Alabama defense is supposed to be doing, or where all the weaknesses, in this defense are that you're having to protect. Getting comfortable with their lingo a little bit so that you can translate it as well as possible to the audience who's listening on the radio. That's the hardest part, is trying to draw out that picture and give them a visual that they can see while they're listening. That's definitely going to be the challenge early on, but going to try to get down there a couple of times before the season starts and have some conversations and get to watch a little bit and get comfortable with these guys. I don't know about y'all, and the good news is for this Alabama team, there's a ton of guys that are returning, which is great for me. there's names that are not. There's going to be new names, obviously, but I was talking about this with somebody else. In this industry now, you've got so many guys that the roster changes and turnover so much. In the off season with the transfer portal, that it's almost impossible to keep up with who your guys are, until you get a couple games into the season. You've heard these names for years before they become starters and jump on the field, but now, you got 3 or 4 guys that are out there that are coming from all these different schools that you've never heard their names before. So I think that's going to be the most difficult part, is just keeping up with what the roster looks like.
Corey Reamer joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You'll hear him on sidelines for Alabama football broadcasts this fall. You kind of alluded to it there, some of the differences in what you guys ran under Saban and now what this Alabama defense will be running under Kane Womack. What's a little bit different that you like? What's something that you've noticed that you're like, man, I like the way they do that? Like that would have been cool to kind of run things that way or operate that way.
Well, I think conceptually the biggest thing is, Coach Saban was always known for putting in defenses that were extremely complicated. He wanted to pattern match. He wanted to have checks for every offensive check that we saw. Any formation change, we always had a couple different plays that were, in the holster that we could call if they gave us, if they shifted to different looks. I think Kane Womack does that too, but he does it in a way. His philosophy is more of let's keep it as simple as we possibly can for our guys, where we make it look like it's, confusing to an opposing offense. They're not real sure what we're in, but the concepts are a little bit easier where you can go out there and play fast. There was a special teams coordinator in New York who that was his infamous saying. He's like, the great thing about special teams is it's simple. Those guys can go out there and be athletes. They don't have to think too much and go play fast. And I think Kane Womack's goal is that. Let's let these guys go out there. They're phenomenal athletes. Let's make them go out there and just play football as fast as they possibly can. And if there are mistakes, they're doing it at full speed, and you can kind of make up for that. If you're out there thinking too much, you're going to be half a step behind, and then gaps open up and holes open up in the defense. And I think that was a lot of the struggles for a lot of the younger guys as they would come into Tuscaloosa under Coach Saban and Kirby, is just trying to pick up on the play calls and the concepts of what that defense was supposed to be. They couldn't go out there and play at full speed, and it took them a while to get adjusted to it. And I think Kane's philosophy is let's go out there and let's go make it as simple as possible. They don't have to think too much. Go play fast.
Looking at just kind of Kalen's approach, and I know you haven't been around him a ton. I know you haven't been around Coach Womack a ton either. But just knowing how you played for Coach and how different the approach is now, how the modern day player is different as well. What have you picked up from the conversations you've had with Kalen and or the experience you've had being around him?
Yeah, I think first of all, he's a genuine guy. I think if you don't know, if you don't see him outside of what you see in the media, he's pretty laid back. He's kind of, he is a genuinely nice guy, cares about these guys, and I think that is a different approach from a coaching standpoint. Not that Coach Saban didn't care about us, but his attitude towards us was different. He was trying to get the best out of us, and I think there's multiple ways to skin that cat, and Kalen DeBoer does a good job of caring for these guys and really encouraging them to go out there and play fast. You see him on the practice field, though. He gets after them. He lights them up, too. He's got high expectations. And I haven't been around him a ton to really get to interact with him and see a ton of his time with the players. But from the little bit I've seen, it's kind of what I'm picking up. And these guys love playing for him. I think with all the extra elements that are in play with football today, it's kind of how you have to be a coach, which is different than when you and I were there and when Cole was there. There's a lot of easy outs for these players, and trying to develop these guys as individuals and as football players at a time just takes a whole lot different touch. And but he's figured it out. His record speaks for himself. I know last year was a little bit disappointing from an overall record standpoint, but I kind of think of it as the same way as when Coach Saban showed up. Even though the roster looks completely different in terms of how many 5 stars and 4 stars Coach DeBoer inherited, it's still you got to have buy-in from these guys and what your system is and the beliefs and the values that you're trying to implement on your team. And even though these players are good, doesn't mean that they're, they signed up for Coach Saban. There's a lot of guys that might not have been excited to be with the new staff, and takes a year to kind of figure out what that looks like. And some guys move on, and now you've got your second year. You've got a roster of people that believe in you and are excited to go play for you. So it'll be interesting to see how this team picks up and runs with it. Sounds, from Ryan Williams and a couple other players this offseason, there's a lot of excitement in the locker room and kind of some unity across the board of what they're trying to go out there and do.
So what is your ultimate expectation? Greg thinks this could be the best secondary in college football. Thinks this defense could take huge steps this year. Are you kind of in line with that?
Yeah, I am. I think this is one of the best linebacking cores that we've had in a really long time across the board. Not just the first four guys, but I think the two deep, especially on the inside, could be some of the best that we've seen, and they're just different. It's not Rolando McClain and Dante Hightower back there. Even though these guys are, bigger than some of the guys that we've had in the past, they're still, able to move and play in coverage at a really high rate. But I'm excited to see what Deontay Lawson does this year. A guy that's been a leader of this team. He's a phenomenal athlete. He's fun to watch. I'm excited to see what Clay Rusall does. I think this year, different from what we had, last year we didn't have a ton of success of getting a lot of pressure off the edge. And I think that the secondary, though, made up for that by how many turnovers they were able to create. I'm expecting to see a lot more pressure on quarterbacks from this group. And you've got a couple transfers that come in, and Hill Green, that's going to be a guy that is fighting for a starting job as well. Some new names around there, but really pumped to see Bray Hubbard. Talked to Freddie Roach and Josh Chapman the other day, and they were speaking so highly of Bray Hubbard, of what he's been able to do. He's a guy that just goes out there and grinds. Has earned his role as a starter. But Keon Sabb coming back. It's going to be a pretty phenomenal group. This is definitely one of the better defenses that we've seen from a returning standpoint in a long time.
Corey, we always appreciate the time, man, and we're happy for you. I think we all agree here that it's going to be awesome to hear you on Alabama broadcasts, and we'd love to do this again soon.
Yeah, man, and good news is I did find out last night they're going to allow me to wear some shorts on the sideline for the Florida State game, which is good. I hate it for you wherever you're going to be your first week if you got to be in pants, but
it's not going to be shorts.
That was a massive win.
That's huge.
I'll be in shorts. It's massive.
That is gigantic.
Enjoy, guys.
All right,
good to talk to y'all.
Corey Reamer, new sideline reporter for Alabama Football Radio broadcast, joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. He'll be great, G-Mac. It'll be fun to hear him.
He'll be great. I'm looking forward to it. I'm happy for him. It's going to be fun for him to get back out there. The sideline is where all the action is, so it's cool to get that vantage point. I know he'll give a great experience for the fans that'll be listening to him.
I don't think there's any doubt. All right, continue your feedback, 800-239-9569. Tweet in at Mac and Cube. Going to continue going around the SEC. Before we do that, I'll tell you about your CBD store. If you're having some issues with arthritis or anxiety, or if your pet is also, I've had multiple pets in my household getting older, having trouble getting around, and treats from your CBD store has been able to help them. Anxiety, if the doorbell rings or you get the storms that come in, they can help your pets there. They can also help you there. Better for your day, better sleep at night. Your CBD store has products that can help with this. They have 3 locations to help you. Highway 280 by Bailey Brothers, 150 by the Cajun Cleaver, Trussville just off 459. Provide organic oil supplements. Yes, they are open, regardless of what you may have heard about other places in and around Birmingham and Alabama. Largest brick and mortar CBD retailer in the world. Go check them out today. Tell them you heard about them right here on Mac and Cube, your CBD store. We're back to go around the Southeastern Conference here from multiple coordinators, coaches, and players next on Jox. A lot of conversation in our previous segment about Kane Womack, Alabama defensive coordinator, with Corey Reamer, who's going to be on sidelines for Alabama football this fall. We'll hear from Kane Womack. We'll hear from DJ Dirk, Mike Bobo, all here in just a moment. First, I'll tell you about Gusty Goose and the Gusty Goose Group. If you're looking to get into a new home, there are a couple of reasons that it's a no-brainer to call Gusty Goose and that easy. Since 2012, Gusty Goose Group, recognized both nationally and locally as Greater Birmingham, Alabama's #1 team in homes sold. They're brokered by eXp Realty, over 850 5-star Google reviews. If you need a new home in Central Alabama, or you want top dollar for your home and want to put it on the market, it's got to be the Gusty Goose Group. Go to GustyGoolsGroup.com today. Find out what they can do for you, or call 205-542-1996. That's 205-542-1996. Better yet, just Google Gusty Goose Group and see what people are saying. All right, Kane Womack, Alabama defensive coordinator, on if there's real concern for him about the lack of turnovers that his defense has caused in fall camp.
I don't know what the exact number is out there, but I think our offense is doing a fantastic job of taking care of the football. It was an emphasis coming out of last season that we had to do a better job as a team taking care of the football and creating takeaways. Certainly, we were able to do that a year ago. They're making it more difficult on us. When the bullets are flying and it's live and you can affect a quarterback, that's always the indication of how we'll do. So I feel good about where we are defensively there.
Sounds to me, Greg, like what Kane Womack is saying is, it's practice, guys. We can't hit the quarterback.
Talking about practice.
Not a game.
Not a game.
Not a game.
Don't need a game.
Practice.
Talking about practice.
We can't hit the quarterback. We are limited in what we can actually do, even approaching him. So therefore, that limits us with how we would normally cause a lot of turnovers. Therefore, I'm not concerned about it.
I think it's time to panic.
Might be.
You know what? I know what we should do. Just cancel the season.
Probably.
This is great. It's a good thing. I wouldn't be too worried about it. We have looked at this offense for a while now, and we have looked at the quarterback play and the inconsistencies of last year. And not that Jalen was like super turnover prone. He wasn't. Like, I thought Jalen actually did a pretty good job throughout the course of his career, making sure he took care of the football. Now, when they came in bunches. Texas, of course, being one from 2 years ago. Last year against Vanderbilt, there were a couple there. There were a few, but that's threw an end zone and pick in the end zone against Tennessee. There were a few, but not like, wasn't like a huge concern. I don't remember last year this being a focal point. Like, how many did they have last fall camp?
I don't have the statistics.
I know they had 28 in the season.
And I'll say this, not many people have seen the tape.
Yeah. I wouldn't worry about it. Like you said, it's hard to affect the quarterback when he has a black jersey.
How would someone even know to ask this, though?
I don't know.
Do you think he said maybe we haven't had any interceptions and somebody followed up? I don't know. Like, how do people don't even know how many you've had or not had? Maybe the offense was bragging about it and people heard them. I don't know.
Yes, because they said, it's been a storyline that there's only been...
Ty has one, and there's only been
like
4
three
total
turnovers. Yeah. There were 12 in the spring or whatever, and there were 3 here in fall. I don't know. I'm not one that loses a lot of sleep over practice turnovers. I personally, as a quarterback, would like to see none from the offense. Then again, the offense is probably a little bit more comfortable with the disguises the defense is going to throw their way. They've seen it every day. You know who hasn't? Your opponent. So I think that's something that, don't panic about it. Don't worry about it. It'll be just fine. But still interesting nonetheless that the offense has done such a good job taking care of the football against a defense that is so prone to turning people over. So I'd be thrilled under these circumstances.
Always love hearing this too. Kane Womack on what he has seen from now named starting quarterback Ty Simpson in fall camp.
As a defensive coordinator, right, your job is to kind of be an expert, right, on offenses and what we're doing and how they're attacking us. And like Ty just does such a great job of his command of the offense right now. He understands what Ryan and what Nick are trying to get done out of the quarterback position and what we're trying to do offensively. He gets us into the right calls. He keeps us out of bad calls for the most part, and then does a really nice job of just taking care of the football. And the dude makes plays. So, take care of the football, make good decisions, make plays when it matters. That's, to me, the element of a quarterback. But when I watch him go through progressions, he has a great feel for boom, 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 and he stays on schedule, and that's always, gonna make you efficient offensively.
Yeah, that's you love to hear those notes about Ty Simpson, Greg, and how he's handling things apparently in Tuscaloosa.
I think it's terrific. And look, you can spin things however you want. Oh, well, let's go back to Auburn. Auburn's offensive line struggling against this defensive line. Well, they're going against each other. It's great because I'm not concerned about the offensive line. That's been a position of strength as evidenced by last year and the additions made this offseason. Oh, LSU's offensive line's getting torched by their defensive line. Well, that's a bad thing because LSU's offensive line is a legitimate question mark going into the year. Alabama's not turning the ball over. Okay, well, that's great because the offense is the side of the ball that I'm concerned about. I think there's some built-in equity with what Kane and that defense accomplished last year to where I'm not concerned about them turning people over. They're going to turn people over. That's what this defense has traditionally done. Even dating back to Kane's time at South, Kane's time at Indiana, Kane's time as a coordinator in general, they turn people over. So, I'm not sweating it. But I am concerned about a young quarterback, well, inexperienced quarterback, I shouldn't say young, with only 50 career attempts and him falling victim to traps the defense is setting on him. I think it's a great thing.
Yeah. All right, Kane Womack also on a guy that Corey Reamer's mentioned, we've mentioned, probably has to be big for Alabama defense if they're going to be great this fall. Deontay Lawson, how he's taken his game to the next level in fall camp.
He's actually doing a great job. Deontay is – it's amazing. I mean, I thought, he carried himself at such a professional level a year ago. His leadership was so impressive. And somehow he's taken his game and leadership to another level, which is really impressive coming off of not only battling, the recovery process that he's kind of stayed ahead of every marker that we've had for him. But to be able to come out in fall camp and we thought, maybe we would limit some of his loads and all that. We've really pushed him and he's handled it really well.
So that's Deontay Lawson, Greg. We know he's got to be the cornerstone of this defense. He's got to be massive if Alabama's defense can be great this year.
100%. If he is, cook him with gas. If he isn't, maybe a step slow, a step hesitant, then that is, I'm not going to say the end of the world. No, but I do think it's very, very important for him to play at a high level. And he's got to feel great about his vision points because last year there was a bit of a learning curve for him. It probably took 6 weeks for him to get really comfortable and start to play at the highest possible level and his capabilities. And guess what? That's to be he had on the field were very different last year from what he experienced the year before. So I'm pretty excited about what this defense in general, but I'm most excited to see what Deontay Lawson now looks like in year 2 in this defensive scheme.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch him, see what he can get done. All right, we'll go around the rest of the SEC, hear from other players, coaches in conference when we continue next right here on Jox. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 8:31, right here on Jox. You can listen to joxfm.com, the App Store. Go search WJOX. You can download that. That'll direct you to YouTube. You can watch us live on YouTube each and every morning, catch the replays throughout the course of the day. All your podcasts of interviews that you may have missed, joxfm.com or there on the app. Tell your home smart speaker to enable the Jox skill. Many different ways you can listen to us every day right here on Jox.
Bill Smith Buick GMC is the GMC Dealer of the Year, the national champion of GMC dealers. They've won 5 years in a row. That's a dynasty going on right now. Right up there in Coleman off I-65, exit 310. Now is a great time to go in there and take advantage of some savings, too. These deals continue to get better every single week, like $14,000 off the GMC Sierra 1500 SLT. They also have $5,000 off the Buick Encore GX, which is a sporty, economical SUV, really, really nice, under $25,000. Paying $30 in other places, you're paying under $25 if you go to Bill Smith. That's why 75% of their business repeat customers is because you have a better experience when you shop at Bill Smith. The sales staff's incredible. The service is incredible. Andy Cole and Jonathan Yeager have built a culture of just tremendous service. So always appreciate those guys. I'm a repeat customer. I think you will be too. Take the short drive up to Coleman and be glad you did. You can also shop online, have it delivered right to your driveway at Bill Smith Buick, GMC.com.
All right, let's continue around the Southeastern Conference. Georgia offensive coordinator Mike Bobo. Greg, we've had this discussion of that we think it could be going back towards ground and pound this year for the Dogs. Mike Bobo saying that could be possible.
At any level, you've got to be able to run the ball and stop the run. And that's been an emphasis of ours since we got back from the Sugar Bowl and started meeting as a staff and meeting with our players. How can we improve in that area? And I'm not just talking about numbers. I'm talking about being efficient. And a run game is not going to just help you offensively. It's going to help your quarterback.
So we know running the football opens up everything. We've said this about Auburn. You asked me why the offensive line I thought was the most important part of fall practice for the Tigers, and it was everything else that it opens up. Makes life easier on your defense. You can control the football, second and shorter, regardless of who's calling the play. Get you in better situations. It helps you control games and how they operate and how they go, field position. I think that helps everything. Like Coach Bobo said there, Greg, it opens the door for you to be – it's a lot easier for you to be better in a lot of areas when you can run the ball.
Well, answer me this. How committed were they to running the football last year, and how much of that had to do with inconsistencies along the offensive line and a lack of depth at running back?
Yeah, I think the O-line consistencies played into that for sure. I don't think there's any doubt.
But did running back depth have anything to do with it?
Yeah, especially when the one you were going to potentially have to lean on couldn't hold on to the ball. I mean, that was a problem, right?
Well, at least for a little bit. I think he got better as the season went along. But in the one game that felt like they really tried to run the football, Clemson, they ran it. You know what I mean? I just don't feel like they ran it very often. They never really tried. And I don't trust the offensive line that much. And let's be real. I mean, your best attribute was your quarterback last year. I know people don't want to acknowledge that, but Carson Beck was not the problem last year. Now, he didn't have his best stuff in a couple games, but he's pretty dang good college quarterback. So, and I think a lot of teams would take him. So, I don't know. That's kind of my big question is, did they get away from the run game because of, one, a lack of depth at running back, two, a lack of consistency along the offensive line, or three, just a philosophical adjustment to what they now are? Those are the three questions I have, and I don't know the answer to those. If it's the third answer, then we got problems. If it's the first two, hopefully those can get resolved with new personnel this year.
All right, let's go back to that discussion point, the offensive line. Kirby Smart, Georgia head coach, on what he's seen from that group and wants to see the rest of fall practice.
Yeah, I want to continue to see an identity of toughness, physical, setting edges in the run game, denting the defense, and it's what we have to be, and we need to have a great run game to, number one, help our quarterback, relieve third and longs, feature backs, and then utilize play action. So those guys are working really hard. I've been pleased with the group. They continue to work hard and do what we need to do. We'll be where we need to be.
All right, so that's Kirby Smart just on where he wants his group to be up front on that offensive line. And just the last scrimmage Georgia had overall, Georgia head coach's thoughts on how that went.
They're really competitive drives, several long drives, I was pleased with the effort for the first scrimmage. We didn't tackle exactly great, which is the first time we really tackled live. We've done a little more live tackling than we have in the past, so we did do some prior to the scrimmage. But I was really pleased with the effort on special teams. I think that's where we set ourselves apart in scrimmages, because we do the special teams within the scrimmage, and we didn't have. We have guys competing for spots on those units, and I thought they competed really hard. So I was pleased. Some silly procedural penalties both ways, but pleased with the effort of both groups. Are just not where we need to be yet.
The special teams update on Mac and Cube that you didn't know you needed. You just got right there.
And that he does it inside the scrimmage.
Just change everything right there in the middle of scrimmage, which is always easy because special teams usually on their own field anyway.
Always.
Just get them there at the stadium when you're at the practice field. They're at the practice field and you're at the stadium. So they can do whatever they want. You can adjust the whole thing.
All of it.
Let's go to College Station, Texas. Colin Klein, offensive coordinator for the Texas A&M Aggies. His thoughts on the Aggies' most recent scrimmage.
First and foremost, I thought our operational tempo was really, really good through all the units, through all the different substitutions. I thought the mentality start to finish in the scrimmage was a really, really good step in the right direction. I think our penalties and procedures and turnovers were down. There were some things situationally that we got to improve at, but again, I thought was some really, really good learning and really, really good experience there. I thought our guys competed and played really hard, and we're really I think we had more explosive plays in that scrimmage than we've had since we've been here. And I think they were getting excited with each other, watching each other make big explosive plays, and I think that was really, really cool to see.
All right, so it doesn't sound super important or critical, Greg, but I love hearing a coordinator say that things along with the operation are going well. You're not having delay games. You're not having the wrong personnel grouping in there. You're not having people lined up on the wrong side of the football, and you got to flip them with 2 seconds left on the play clock. Marcel Reed, in my opinion, I'm not as high as some other folks, has a little bit of ways to go. But if he's out there operating the offense that way, that's a massive head start for him and for Texas A&M.
Massive. And when you look at kind of A&M in general this year, they're not going to be a team that has a lot of negative plays, right? They kind of feel like for them to be a good football team this year, the operation's going to be clean. They're going to be a team that stays on schedule. They're going to be a team that doesn't make mistakes. For them to reach their ceiling, that's where they have to live. Now, if they make mistakes, they get off schedule, it all of a sudden puts Marcel Reed in a passing position where I think he's better than probably you do. I also don't know if he's one that I want carrying the load. Like, I think they need to be on schedule, ground and pound, limit negative plays, live to play third and medium short, and just
get your shots in when you have those situations.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. And when you got those, take a couple shots downfield, keep them honest defensively. Like that in the perfect world is where I see this offense going. So to hear that they're doing a good job in just circumstances, operation, stuff like that, to me is a good sign. I'm
with you. I feel like Marcel Reed's a little wild thing. Like I think he's Charlie Sheen in Major League. I'm not trying to promote the new Netflix documentary that's out, but when that fastball's over the plate, it's really good. It looks pretty. It's nice. It's effective. Yeah. I just think he throws one in the stands every now and then. You're just like, where did that come from? And I guess in baseball, when you're throwing in 105 doing that, it can actually be effective and work for you because the batter's probably thinking twice. But in football, that doesn't really help you at all. And he gives you one of those worm burners every now and then. He gives you one 3 yards behind the receiver, and you're just kind of like, how? But when it's on time and it's accurate, it's nice. I just need to see it more consistently. I guess that's the thing that I look for that is holding me back a little bit on Marcel Reed.
Fair enough.
It might get there this year. It might.
Yeah, and let's keep in mind he's a redshirt freshman last year.
Yeah.
So there might be a couple misses here and there. There might be a play or two where it's like, maybe not there. You watch him against teams like Florida, though. Against Florida, he was outstanding, right? Very, very and that's good. Obviously, good team last year. Maybe at that time weren't playing as well as they were capable of down the stretch, but a good team. I mean, he was very methodical, made good decisions, timely with the run game, married up some of their outside zone stuff with bootleg out the backside because he does have that running capability, so he holds the backside well. Like, I think there's some things to like about his skill set. It's just now about taking the next step and maybe becoming a little more dynamic in the event in which the run game's not going. Because there's going to be a game or two. I don't care how good your back is, how good your offensive line is. There's going to be 2 or 3 games this year where they can't run the ball as well as they want. I mean, it's just, I think back to even when we were in 2009 against Auburn, I think Ingram ran for like 35 yards. You know, like there's going to be a couple games where the run game is just, for whatever reason, not going that day. And he needs to be able to step up in those situations and make that pivotal throw. And if they're selling out against the run, by all means, take your one-on-ones. I think they're more equipped to win those one-on-ones this year. With the additions they've made at wide receiver and the improvements they're hopefully making with the growth that they have at their young wide receivers last year. So I'm pretty encouraged by A&M, man. I think of all the teams right now, I think they have a really high floor. And when I say high floor, like I think absolute devastation, worst case scenario, they're an 8-4 football team.
Okay.
Worst case. But I think they can go up from there pretty easily if the defense is as good as I think they have a chance to be.
I should go to Colin Klein's next comment on Marcel Reed. But when you just said bootleg and Marcel Reed together, it made me think of something that I wanted to ask you.
Oh, boy.
Boy, this is softball. I'm putting it on the tee for you here.
Please. I need all the help I can get. Don't throw
What quarterback is the best bootlegger in history?
John Elway.
Maybe. What about college? Like maybe a college quarterback that didn't play. Like I had 2 that came to mind, and you didn't really watch either one of them. So
best off the boot.
Like Damian Craig was awesome on bootlegs.
Was he?
And because he had that then was sort of that was your read option then.
Yeah.
You ran the bootleg with the option to tuck it and run. And the other would be Charlie Ward. Like, because both were super accurate on the run, threw the ball really nice on the run, could tuck it and go. Elway's a Pro Football Hall of Famer, man. Like, he's a different deal. But
I mean, just the way they married, like, he was so good
college.
on the move.
And maybe it was because outside of a literal sprint draw, you know, where the quarterback would like be overly statuesque and then run straight ahead.
Yeah.
That was essentially their designed run plays. That was like all they had. They didn't have all the creativity that we have now. And maybe that's why those 2 stick out for me. But I think Charlie Ward, Damian Craig as college football, like bootlegging quarterbacks that were just great at it.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it has to do with the fake. I love bootleg. I think it's the most underutilized play. Now, it does potentially, you run bootleg into the wrong D end.
Get you killed.
You get Cornelius Bennett right in your grill.
Nobody wants to be Cornelius Bennett.
You get a Daniel Moore painting, right?
Nobody wants
you
that.
get taking one of the chops. So there are some coaches that are not quite as comfortable with it as others. There are ways of protecting the quarterback on the bootleg or the naked. I think it's a tremendously effective play, especially if you got the run game going front side.
I love it.
It's amazing.
You just don't see it much
It cuts
anymore.
the defense in half. I mean, if the defense is over pursuing, it cuts them in half.
Especially
And
with today's athletes at quarterback. It can be so deadly.
100%. So you're going to hold that backside linebacker and that backside end no matter what. So guess what? On your traditional stretch zone, that back can cut it all the way back to the outside let's say you're running stretch zone to the left. That back could, in theory, if that quarterback is as much of a threat as he can be, he's going to hold that defensive end by himself. So the quarterback basically blocks the defensive end. That running back can cut all the way back to the outside right of the right tackle.
Yep.
And it's just, guess what? The will linebackers out there. And now you got a route in the concept too. So now that you got nickel out there, you run out of 11, like you run out of every personnel. So I think you're going to see a lot of that from A&M this year. You probably should. If you're not, I feel like we saw a decent amount of it last year from Mizzou. We've seen it from them.
They actually, Mizzou, one of the few teams that come to my mind right away that the quarterback still turns their back to the defense. And I remember asking Sark about this last year. I was like, why do you still run traditional play action? Why do you still run bootlegs where the quarterback has to turn his back to the defense? I was like, almost everything else you see is forward facing to the defense. And I don't think that it was originally by that design. I think it was to maybe be forward facing to an individual on defense, not the whole defense. And I remember Sark's explanation was, well, you got to go back to my West Coast offense days and how timing and play action were originally created and why we did it. He said, but I still think it's the only true way to steal eyes and steal bodies off of a fake. Because like you said, you're completely selling out. You're giving yourself up to the defense to force them to bite. Now, when you're facing the defense looking at them, you can have that ball fake and put it in the mesh or whatever, but you're not truly selling out the fake there. You turn your back to the defense, you are, because you're letting them know, I don't see what you're doing. And a lot of them will bite on that. And I think more teams should run it. I would love to see. I don't know why more teams don't run pistol. If you need to be in gun, that's fine. Put the back behind your quarterback.
Yeah.
And it's very few teams still do it. But, man, it can be so effective, like you said.
I think pistol's the key.
Like Vandy does it. They have turn your back to the defense play actions. They have traditional bootlegs that they're going to run in that offense that Tim Beck runs. But there's not a bunch of them, Greg, that still do it that way.
Yeah. I mean, pistol it's an expensive play. Like, I think people think it's easy to just get in pistol and run it. Like, it's a little bit more expensive than that. Take some work, take some reps, but I don't see why you wouldn't do it. Can you protect in traditional drop back at a pistol? Not as well, because your back's so deep. But in the run game, and if you're marrying up the run game, it can be really good.
All right, let's add some value here on Jox. You guys know about Arfers to you and how he gives you extra value here on Jox almost every day. Co-host of the Retire with Freedom radio and TV shows in Birmingham and Huntsville. Also been designated by Forbes as the number one multiple years running. Tad Hill, what do you have for us today?
What I'd like to talk about today are two very specific retirement planning challenges that most people are going to have these days. And that is, when do you take Social Security? When is the right time for you to do it, your spouse to do it? And also, do you have a pension decision to make? Now, not everybody has a pension decision to make, but if you do, and you're trying to decide, do I take the annuity? Do I take the lump sum? If I'm going to take the annuity, do I do 100% spousal, 50, 0%? And then just the whole decision around, how do I make sure that we're augmenting my retirement? Figure out how to take your savings and sources. We can help you a course or come in for a visit. 205-6. That's triple.
Paid placement investment available through AE Wealth. Forbes rankings. Visit Forbes.com.
All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. For tuning in. 800-239-9569 if you want to get in. 800-239-WJOX. If you want to be a part of the Jox Kickoff Party, Bear, tell our listeners how they can do it.
You can celebrate the kickoff to the college football with us at the Bill Smith Buick GMC Jox Kickoff Party at Regents Field Thursday the 21st. That's a week from today. And the only way to go is by winning tickets. To win a pair of tickets for you and a guest, text the keyword season and your full name. That's season, as in college football, season. And your full name to 205-834-9450. That's keyword season and your full name to 205-834-9450. Winners are drawn and notified daily. Don't forget, today and tomorrow are your last chances to qualify, so make sure you get it in. And for more info, visit joxfm.com.
All right. Per Nicole Auerbach, the NCAA has notified those tied to the Michigan NCAA sign-stealing infractions case. An announcement on those findings and punishments will be publicly released tomorrow. So if it's at 9, they want everybody to know about it. If it's at 5:30 they don't want anybody to know
Can't
about it.
do it. Too busy.
That's where you're looking with that. But apparently they now know. How hard do you think they're going to get hit, G-Mac?
Not. Do you think anything's going to happen?
Not that will greatly impact anybody who's there now. Maybe I think the NCAA is smart. They'll come down a little bit harder on those no longer involved in college football to make it appear as though you have some clout.
Show cause for Jim Harbaugh.
Yep. But this is not going to be earth-shattering, monumental news. Not going to be anything that I think people look at and say, oh, wow, I can't believe this, or they're not going to be able to get over this. That's not going to happen.
No, I don't think it's going to be like a postseason ban or anything like that. I mean, we'll see. I'd be curious, but what grounds does the NCAA have right now?
Well, they cheated. So you do have those grounds.
I know.
Good answer. Good answer.
But what
Good
power?
answer.
Thank you. Thank you.
What power does the?
Not much. Not much at all. No, not much.
I don't know.
What I do know is that Jacob Ramsey's going to Newcastle, guys.
Oh, we're back. How back are we?
$40 million fee from Aston Villa.
Is this Jalen's cousin?
Who has changed teams more often in the last 5 years? Jacob Ramsey or Jalen Ramsey?
Maybe runs.
I
got to
go Jalen because he's the only one that I have heard of before 10 seconds ago.
There's a Bella Ramsey in
Apparently, this is big news, though.
Huge news.
God, Newcastle for the title of
hamburgers?
That? Yep. All right. Big news there.
I've got to be honest with you. I don't even know who that is.
Jacob Ramsey is.
I know Gordon Ramsay.
Most famous Ramsey at 9. Next on Mac and Cube.
The bad guy in Game of Thrones. Ramses?
No, it's Ramsey Bolton.
Yeah.
Nice try.
That
guy was a dog.
Man is in by one too.
Too soon.
Anne Ramsey and Goonies.
Okay.
Let's go.
I don't have a lot of them.
Jalen Ramsey?
We said that one.
Got him.
Ramsey High School.
There
It's
you
got
go.
to be up there.
Yeah.
Apparently, there's an Alf Ramsey. I only thought Alf was an alien on TV in the 80s.
The Los Angeles Ramseys?
Was that his last name? Alf Ramsey?
Alf Ramsey is the most famous person with the last name Ramsey per playback.fm.
I've been telling you Playback's a go-to spot for famous Ramseys. I've always thought that.
He was an association football manager. Also association football player.
It's like being.
He worked for the Birmingham City FC, and we didn't even know who he was?
I don't think it's our city.
Guy sounds like a Steel City legend. A Magic City Mountain. And we didn't even know him.
One of those, it was putt-putt.
God, I miss putt-putt sometimes.
It's back, baby.
I do like the indoor putt-putts you get at Deer Life.
It's good in the summer.
It's great. You just get in there and play and don't have to worry about the heat.
100%.
All right, when we come back, Anderson joins us to talk anything and everything. Welcome back in. I don't know what we're doing today. Be honest
Over
with
the
you.
place.
We didn't even know that Ramsey was going to Villarica. Noticed that the NBA schedule is coming out today at 2:15, and we haven't even mentioned it. Haven't even said a word about it.
Well, that's tomorrow's show.
Do we even prepare for shows? Do we even think about what we want to talk about?
No.
Playing on Christmas Day, I'm out. I quit the NBA.
When in doubt.
Give me Dallas on Christmas Day or else NBA.
Yep.
Adam Silver.
I'm done with the NBA because of what they did to the Warriors in Week 4.
I need to know if Zachary Chardonnay is going to be opening up in Atlanta or not. If not, I'm out.
Zach Charbonnet, you mean the running back?
Zachary.
Zach Charbonnet, the running back from UCLA, went to Michigan.
Here's a trivia question for you guys.
Yes.
After Cooper Flag, can you give me one of the next 4 picks in the NBA draft?
Harper.
Guy from Rutgers. One of the two.
I think both
Harper,
of them.
like the author?
Yeah. Harper Lewis.
Dylan Harper was second. He went to the
NBA.
Yes,
Comets.
Spurs. Comets. Okay, can you give me another of the top 5?
Yeah, Ace Bailey.
Ace Bailey was
the guy
number
from
5.
Rutgers,
2? The Jazz. He's correct. Out of?
Rutgers. Yeah.
Oh, I like that John says that like everyone.
I knew that Rutgers had 2 top 5 players. I knew that. I don't know how, but they did.
Who was the first SEC player taken?
Dalton Connect last year.
I love that I'm asking
I know
you guys
who it
like
should
this,
have
like
been.
I would have any idea.
I know who it should have been.
Okay. Janai Broom?
Mark Sears.
It wasn't. The first SEC player taken in the draft went 6th to the Wizards.
The Wiz?
His name was? Yes, Trey Johnson out of Texas. And then next was Jeremiah Fears out of Oklahoma. Now we know why we brought him into the league. We need more NBA draft prowess. Thank you, Texas and Oklahoma, for helping us out there.
Don't worry. Arkansas and Kentucky have us from this point forward with the draft prospects.
Oh, really? Let me scroll for the first Kentucky player taken.
Got him.
Scrolling. I see Auburn. I see Arkansas. I see Florida multiple times. Oh, yeah. The 41st pick in the draft. Anybody want to take a guess who that was? Out of Kentucky to the Warriors.
One of the twins.
I'll give you the first name. Kobe.
Johnson.
John?
Winston.
Damian. Bray.
Yeah, whatever, Damian.
Now spell it.
B-R-E with an apostrophe.
Nope.
Just like his first name, Kobe, and then yeah.
B-R-E-A. No, we don't know anything about anything. By the way, Amari Williams did get drafted out of Kentucky 46th to the Magic.
G League. Oh.
I just love that the Bucks at 47 took Boblazub Markovic from Mega Basket. Dude, if you're a starter from Mega Basket, you know you're bringing it. Nobody wants to see Mega Basket on the schedule.
Nope.
All right. He joins us each and every week. Thanks to our friends at Coke and Piggly Wiggly. It's the Coach Wimp Sanderson. How we doing, Coach?
Well, let me apologize for being on this show. I didn't know I was going to have to hear all that stuff about nothing. I'm ready. I'm sitting here waiting to be on the show, and y'all don't want me on anymore. And I brag on y'all all the time. How smart you are.
Come on, Coach.
Smart in that case. You're not smart in that case.
You don't mean that.
All right. Oh, yeah, I think y'all are good, but y'all talk too much today. I got too much. I don't have that much to say, but I always come up with a football question. I have on cold all the cotton picking. I bragged on Greg about what he said about Auburn's going to be better than people think. I get calls on my radio show saying, "Well, Greg, you brag on him too much." I said, "Well, those two guys are pretty smart. They know football better than anybody, and that's what they had to say. And Auburn's going to be better." And the other factor is you keep calling a bad play because you don't know who's going to call it now. That's the offensive guy came out. Nix came out and said 3 of them. So explain to me and to our listeners, Greg, and I'm sure you already have, but I just junk call, if thinking about the have to call, how does
we? I now what the like I need a lot. I think a singular voice down sometime. Man, I just don't for all that.
time that Alabama went back. I call that, and he's. I think it's different. He made sense. You think I coached at a different that yes relationship wins and if that it's going to have some people. I think they were guys, but you're not going to back off of them because you think they're going to quit. That they're going to quit on you because you're too hard on them. I'd like for both of you, a quarterback and a lineman, to talk to that to talk to that idea right now, please.
I think it's very real in today's college football. I've heard multiple coaches reference it, talk about it, that you can't coach them hard. You have to pat them on the rear end a little bit more than normal. I think also where you see this show up, coach, is not just how they're coached, but also how you operate in games. I know Hugh Freeze told one TV crew, because they said it on the broadcast last year, I forget the game, it was a lower tier game, that they were going to feed Cam Coleman in that game. There was going to be an emphasis to get him the football. Do you think that that's just because you think he's that good? Do you think that that's because that really sets up that much for the next 2 or 3 opponents? No, that's to hopefully prevent him from wanting to leave where he is. And he's not the only coach doing that, by the way. It happens a lot of places where you can see the ball being forced to certain individuals because they know they got to keep them happy. Now, that happened in the NFL some, yeah, but that's also probably the only matchup you feel comfortable winning at that point in time. So I think it plays into what the path you're going down. I think it plays into a lot of different areas of today's college football. How they're coached, how they're recruited, how they're managed.
Ain't no doubt.
I mean, Clark Lee has told us he's completely changed his philosophy on punishment and how guys are punishment and who he punishes for multiple reasons, by the way. One, he doesn't want them to want to leave. Two, I mean, he said straight up that one of the things that the new coaching staff brought with them was, hey, you can punish your guys all you want, but don't punish our best players for games. That's dumb. We need our best players to go try to win games. Punish them, make them do something else. Don't suspend them for games. And so he's changed his philosophy in a lot of ways because of kind of where today's college football is.
Well, we said I'll let Greg. We know we all will go back to the Oklahoma and Vanderbilt game that Alabama wasn't ready to play. The next year now we're saying, were they tough on? Were they tough? They didn't leave because the practices were soft. We don't know the answer to that at all. I'm anxious for Greg to answer this because he's in the skill position. Not that you weren't a skilled player, you were, but Greg, you think you're more skilled. So tell your thoughts on making guys not worry about. And I didn't, because I didn't pay any players. If they didn't want to play, they'd sit their fannies on the bench of 8-8. And my guys loved me. My guys loved me after they got through playing. I get stuff from them all the time. I got something last week. But when they were playing for me, they didn't care for me. Go ahead, Greg.
Well, I think it's I think part of what's challenging nowadays is the guys need to stay hungry. I mean, sometimes, you get a big paycheck. Natural human tendency is to take the path of least resistance. You're comfortable. So you maybe aren't going to grind as hard as you once did. I think the coaches that have the most success are the guys that have that relationship where that while guys might get paid and be comfortable, they're still going out and doing everything they need to do to position themselves to have even more success on the field to collect a bigger check down the road. So I think that's where the relationship really matters. Is it's one thing to be comfortable. It's one thing to get taken care of. That's great. But those that elevate are unsatisfied with that comfort level and they desire to accomplish more. And the coaches that can reach the guys and do that the best are going to be best positioned to do some of those things.
The women's basketball coach at South Carolina has put in a rule with her team. They are not to discuss anything financially about what they are getting with their teammates. You don't discuss whatever I'm getting from the university, however I'm getting my money. I don't discuss it with any of the.
How do you even enforce that, Coach? Like, come on.
I don't know that you do,
for me, I'm just gonna be honest with you. That's for show. It's for show. It's for show. You can't make kids not talk about something. Come on.
I understand that, but I do think it cuts down a little bit. Not much. I understand what you're saying, but my mamas and the daddies trying to figure out, trying to find out stuff. The gossip that goes on, the lack of playing time.
All you got to do is call the agent. Apparently, they'll tell anybody how much their clients are getting. They don't care.
We got a good segment going here.
No, but I'm just saying. I mean, listen, I appreciate the thought behind it, but you coached. I mean, imagine telling one of your players, "Hey, don't tell everybody else that I'm leaning on you with your grades." Like, she's just trying to find out who's going to come back to her and tell her that so and so told them what they're getting.
Yeah, well. When I coached, if I won't say it. Greg, anything?
Not on that.
Isn't it the opposite of the Saban model too that he said he wanted? Of everybody from what the school is allowed to give should be getting the same, and then if you're cool enough or pretty enough or marketable enough or popular enough to go get a Gatorade commercial or a Lululemon commercial or whatever, then that's on you. You go get that. That's fine.
But I'm just curious, like. Coach, how often are you talking about your salary with your friends? I guess that's my biggest question. Like, hey, Cole, like when you're sitting around hanging out with your buddies in the neighborhood or whatnot, like you often
talk
talk
y'all
about,
making? I need to change careers.
I need to know what y'all are making.
I need to think about different.
Let me see that W-2.
Y'all are the difference is that you two are playing together, and you don't worry about each other. If I'm lined up against a lineman, or I'm a quarterback or running back or whatever, and you're the quarterback. I'm kind of, I ran for a touchdown and you get more money. It's a little, of course, as I said, people call me old school, no personality, whatever I am. I don't know. I didn't want my guys to ever, we weren't paying them. I didn't want my guys to quit. But I had Robert Ory Robert Ory's on my show the other day and going to be on my show. And I said, how many times I kicked you out of practice? 6? He said, no, it's just twice. So, while they're playing for you, I think this kind of goes different ways, what I did and what they're doing today. And I know the money factor is big.
But, Coach, I will say this. What Greg says is extremely accurate, and it's right. However, he, just like me, I'd be willing to bet, have heard boatloads of coaches talking about how kids are talking to each other about what they're making. And the worst part is, this is what I've been told by coaches, the worst aspect is when a guy comes from, say, SEC school to SEC school, and he starts telling everybody what he made and what everybody else on the team was making. That's a big problem because I know a couple of coaches who have gotten a guy who was a backup at one school, and he's come in and said, well, I'm just using a round number here. Well, I was making $300 there last year. And that's more than the starters at his position are making at new school.
Yeah.
You don't think that gets people talking a little bit and that gets the kids angry? Yeah, absolutely.
I'd say so. I'd also say that how often are these players actually telling the truth? That's the other question. Because
we'll never know.
Knowing my son, who's 6, he talks about how he can throw a football 78 yards. You know, it's like there's a slight to moderate exaggeration with what he thinks is reality. You know what I mean? Like kids, I hear kids all the time, but literally their soccer team last year lost like 8-1. And I swear you asked 3 of the kids in the car, hey, how'd the game go? We won. What was the score? 13-3. Like, no, y'all lost like 8-2. You know what I mean? It's like I don't think that changes much until you get to like 25, but I don't know. I really don't know.
Well, I had a call. I know I need to get out off of here, but I had a call from a guy, how would Coach Brian handle the lack of the discipline part of it, and also paying the players. I said, Coach Brian, as I told you about scheduling last time, and I Cole liked that part. Coach Brian would handle it both ways. He was there. If you went to see Coach Brian, if you went to see Nick Saban, you knocked on your door before you went in. If you go to see some coaches, you don't. You just slip in there through the secretary. But there's a air around the program that you know what's going to happen if things don't go the way they should go. He would get the guy disciplined on one end himself, or they'll be scared to do much things, kick a football on the field like some of the Alabama players did. He'd get that straight. And if he didn't want to lose them, he'd have 5 or 6 guys that were buddies of his that had the jack to be sure that they took care of them so they wouldn't leave. He did it both ways and kept it pretty quiet. He kept the discipline. At the same time, if he needed to do something to keep a guy there, he would do that. He'd come out of the towers. And when he rung that chain and came down those steps and those towers, you didn't know whether his little butt was going after a coach or a player. And he kept it, the lack of discipline. I'm just jumping from one to another. Comes with being late for a meeting, but not doing this and not doing that. And the people, a lot of people say, well, nobody quit at Alabama because they're easy on them. I don't know that because we hadn't played in the second season yet. But I think these things are pretty interesting to your listeners. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're not.
No, I think it's super interesting, Coach, and I love getting your opinion on it and love hearing your thoughts on it. So thanks for hopping on with us today. We know each and every week, and we enjoy having you every week, regardless of what you think. You are brought to us by Coke and Piggly Wiggly.
What does he think I think, Greg? He thinks I think.
No, I think you think we don't enjoy having you because every single week you start it with, well, I don't know what you guys want to talk with me about. It's football season.
Well,
I'm just an old basketball
all that
coach.
NBA crap. And I'm gonna tell him something before I give the ad. He ain't gonna like this. The guy from Duke that's going, the great player, he can be defended.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Counterpoint.
Okay.
Counterpoint.
Okay, counterpoint. Go to Piggly Wiggly.
Counterpoint.
Go ahead,
Hold on.
What?
They don't play defense in the NBA. Therefore, he can't. He can't be defended because they don't do it.
They do in the second half of the fourth quarter in the playoffs.
When they start playing the organ in the garden, that's when they start playing defense. By the way, I do that when I'm playing defense on my kids in the driveway.
I'll be run off here. Piggly Wiggly. If you'll go in Piggly Wiggly, you'll be so happy. They'll have meats. They'll have vegetables. There'll be a courtesy. People will be courteous to. They'll do everything. Piggly Wiggly's the best. They're all friends of mine, Andy and Stan. I go to lunch with them every week. And if you need something grocery-wise, you get your little sandwich to Piggly Wiggly. And Coca-Cola is a great drink. When I first got my job at Alabama, after being there 20 years, I had a little Coca-Cola ad on my little show when I first started, before we started doing pretty good. Then I got a big one. Thank you guys for having me on. I hope I didn't ruin y'all's NBA thoughts.
No, you're great. We appreciate it, Coach.
All right. Later. Bye.
Thanks. I did not know that Wimp Sanderson had the disrespect for Con Knippel's game that he does. But
he's down.
He said he can be defended.
Love
so
it.
There it is. All right. Referencing Kaman Malach.
The big guy?
By the way, when I was looking over the NBA draft for a moment, would have known, but I'm just asking if you know.
30?
59. 25 players of the 59 drafted were traded. 25 of 59. Why are you even drafting the guys that you're drafting if they're just going to go play somewhere else? Is it all just a race to get the next guy that somebody else thinks might be good, and then we just dump him?
Not everybody's going pro, or everybody's going pro, and not everybody's going pro in some other sports, whatever it is.
We're all going pro in something other than sports, Greg.
Correct.
By the way, John, the 25 second-round pick for the Knickerbockers was rescinded by the NCAA.
Okay.
Not the NCAA, but the NBA. If the NCAA pulled that off, they do have struggle.
They might be back.
They would be back. Is there anything better? I do that to my kid in the driveway, by the way. He's always wondering what I'm doing when I'm playing defense. He's like, stop doing that, Dad. And I'm like, see, it works. Jordan, but for a lot of other people, it worked. Back with more Mac and Cube next. Leave me alone.
God, life is good. I like our show.
Before we get to Major Applewhite, can you tell our listeners about Crocker Moving Services?
They're a local company owned by an Iraq War veteran, Eric Crocker. Crocker believes in hiring movers you can trust to complete full background checks and run drug tests on every single employee. These are good guys. You can trust them in your home. Whether it's your whole home packed up and move, your company headquarters, which cross country, or you just want them to come rearrange your living room to your home. Call or visit them online today for a free quote. The website's crockermovingservices.com. That's crockermovingservices.com. Support your veterans by choosing moving service for your next move.
All right, let's go back to the Higginbotham hotline. And speaking of quarterbacks, a lot of quarterbacks will continue that with Major Applewhite, who's going to join us, catch up on his football team, and then maybe a little bit about his offense. Coach, we're talking about, say, traditional bootlegs, traditional play actions where you turn your back to the defense. Is this something that you feel is still important, you like to implement, you don't have time for? Where would you be on these things?
I see the benefit, and I see, I see both sides of it.
It's a good time and bad time for every football.
A lot of ways.
Defense all the time now, and they don't want them, even though you got to turn, because most quarterbacks came up that way.
Well, the football, when you turn as a frame is really difficult. Sticking the football out in front of you there's benefits to both. Quarterback to get around and see what the defense is in his face like a platter, so a better ball fake because you're getting heavier from the defense. Pull it out and throw it other than just those two.
This fall camp weeks bigger probably than the quarterback situation, but what is the position and has been in a quarterback competition? What is the perfect with your quarterback position?
Every quarter, whatever you want to call it, you call it when the team knows it. And I'll perform better at the same time as well. This Saturday we'll have another scrimmage, and Bishop Davenport has gotten the majority of our first team reps, and he started a couple games for us last year and had a really good spring. And then when Gio Lopez entered the portal, we go to North Carolina. He continued to get better. And has earned those opportunities. And so, but this Saturday, I was getting to my point, the other two quarterbacks will get a lot more reps with the one unit. I'll get a chance to see them operate. And Greg can tell you, and we all know that, sometimes when you get with that first group, there's not as much on your plate. You're not explaining to the backup wide receiver, the backup running back what to do. And you're able to get in there and, kind of not be everybody's chaperone. You're able to get in there and go play. And so I'll get a chance to watch those two guys operate a little bit more Saturday.
Coach, you guys have been hit a bunch by guys leaving the program for various reasons. You referenced Gio, Fluff going in the portal in the offseason, ending up at Mississippi State. But it feels like with their departures, it's opened up for a lot of competition. It's probably allowing for guys that are really hungry and eager to take over that spot. Have you noticed now, because of the opportunities that some of your players have gotten elsewhere, have you noticed an increase in the interior competition that you guys are having at those spots that are vacated?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's funny, guys are, it's odd, because, man, I hate to lose my friend. And you're like, no, you don't. Now you get to go start. You don't hate to lose your friend. You're ready for some of these guys to go because you want to play as a quarterback. You want to play as a running back. You want to play as a tackle. And I mean, it's, Greg, when we were playing, guys couldn't leave like that. I mean, you either had to beat the guy out or he had to get injured, and you didn't want that. That's not the way you wanted to get the job. You wanted to beat him out or some other circumstance. But now, you can be sitting there as a freshman and you're on your little kind of developmental plan, and then all of a sudden these two guys take off in front of you, and it's your time to go. It's your time to play. And so it's the old, be ready. Be ready. You don't know now. It's totally different than it was a few years back. So, yes, there are some guys that are extremely motivated now. That some things have kind of been moved out of the way. They can see a clearer path to the playing field. And then there's guys who have come here who have seen that, hey, they lost this position. This is a great place to go. I can go fill that spot. And we've got a lot of great competition in a lot of different positions.
Looking at what you have back defensively, a lot of new faces. You do have some proven production guys that have made some plays for you in the past. Last year, you guys were really good at turning folks over. You really have been good at turning folks over for a number of years now. What growth can we expect on that side of the ball from where they were last year?
Well, I think inside our backers are returning. So Blaine Myrick from Fairhope is a returning, preseason all conference. I know those awards preseason don't mean much, but they do to me because I've watched Blaine play, and I think he's a really good football player. He's got great instincts, and he's a better athlete than you think. So we're better inside at the backer position, deeper there. We have a lot of good young talent that just hasn't played a lot of experience on field experience, but we have a lot of good talent and length and size inside. I'm eager to see our front. We've kind of hung our hat on some of the older guys the last couple of years, so I'm eager to see these younger guys play for us. There will be some growing pains, no doubt. Early in the season, especially when you're playing people like Tulane and Auburn, you're going to get tested, but that's going to be good for some of those guys because I think there's a lot of potential in there. Corner is a position that's been tough for us. I mean, I'll just call it what it is. We lost 3 guys to the portal. We lost 1 to Ole Miss. We lost 1 to Wake Forest. We lost 1 to Kansas State. So when you play 4 corners and 3 of them leave in the portal, it's not add water or instant grits, especially if you don't have $20.5 million. So it's go out and find somebody, get somebody who's younger, get them better, do your job, be a coach, develop this guy. It's tough, but it is what it is. That's what I see defensively. I think some of the safety play will be better. I think we've got some range back there and some guys who played some snaps. So, some areas a little bit better, some areas not as deep, not as strong.
It feels like your philosophy in the portal is get guys closer back to home a little bit. You got a couple of players from the state of Alabama that are going to be back competing for spots on your roster. From getting guys out of the portal to try to come play for you, has that been a big emphasis point of either locally there, Mobile kids, we know how much talent's coming out of there every year, or just guys from the state of Alabama to be able to come back and play in the state they played high school ball in?
It is. It's not as strong of a pull as it was 2 or 3 years ago because the revenue share.
Right.
Once that occurred and, 4 or 5 conferences started getting, whatever that number is, they're all working towards $20.5 million. You may have a young man that leaves from, say, south of Montgomery, and Troy and South Alabama are the best opportunities for him to come back. He decided to go to Michigan, and it was too far, and he didn't like it, and now he wants to leave. But Michigan paid him $400,000 to go up there. Well, there's a lot of other opportunities between $400,000 at Michigan and the amount that we're able to pay him. So sometimes they stop at Memphis for $125. Sometimes they stop at XYZ for $150. So it's not what it was 4 or 5 years ago when it was just simply NIL money. There's a heck of a lot more money there now. So it's a little bit different. That's the reality of it. Yes, that is a draw. I'm not going to tell you it's not. It is a draw. You do want to get back closer to home, your mom, your dad, everybody see you play. But when somebody else calls you from maybe the Big 12 and says, hey, I know it didn't work out for you in the Big 10, but we'll pay you half of what you were making over there, and you can come over here to Waco. Then that kid, sometimes he just listens to that still. And so it can be a positive, and at the same time, money's important to people. And so, they make those kind of decisions based on money. Same reason we're probably doing this radio interview. That's why people do things. And so they're making decisions based off of what money's best. So, yes, you can get guys to come back, but you're probably not getting them if they're at that level and they're making that kind of money. It's not just a direct step to the school.
There's no denying, though, Coach, that you guys at South are in the midst of one of the great eras of South Alabama football history. And I know it's not the longest history in the world, but it's arguably the best 3-year stretch ever. 3 straight winning seasons, a lot of really positive moments here over the last few years. Have you noticed a difference? You've been there now for a little bit. Have you noticed a difference now with the acknowledgement of the quality that y'all are playing down in Mobile compared to maybe when you took the job? Just the proof of concept playing out and the success that you've had has to now lead to different conversations with a different type of player.
You're right, 100%. I see it in the eyes of the kids that we're recruiting. When I was here in 2021, obviously we were still coming off some of the COVID restrictions and those things, but whenever they came to camp, or you had a chance to see them during that first season in 2021 when they came, it was, a lot of looking around, trying to take in, what is this? I've heard about South Alabama. I've heard about some wins, but and then over the course of those 3 years and going to 2 bowl games and then winning one again last year, kids understand, okay, I know where we're at. I know who you are. I saw you on this Tuesday night game. I heard about the Oklahoma State game when y'all went up there. There's a little bit more recognition, familiarity, and kids see this as an opportunity. Even though some might see it as a negative, when you do have the number of players that have gone to the portal, and are going to, be at great spots, great schools, and I love my school, don't get me wrong, but, these kids are looking at it and saying, hey, I want to play at the highest level. I want to play for Alabama. I want to play for Georgia. I want to play for Texas and Notre Dame. And that's the way kids come out of high school. But they also understand this is a great education, very close to home. There's a lot of really good football players that have come here. Some have played 12 games and moved on. Some have played 24 games and moved on. But when they see our campus and they see what we have here in Mobile and as close as and the proximity to their families, they see it as much more of a real opportunity. And, I don't have to state the obvious. My God, we got a lot of great football players, right here off of I-10 between Baton Rouge and Tallahassee. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Well, Coach, we wish you the best. We appreciate the time that you gave us this morning.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
It's been a joy watching your team the last few years, and hope you guys can continue that this season.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Y'all have a great week.
Absolutely. Major Applewhite, South Alabama head football coach, joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. And, it's tough to argue with a lot that he throws out there, G-Mac. It's accurate. It's where we are in today's college football.
It is, but it's amazing, I think, what South has kind of carved out. A program that was kind of born not too long ago to now becoming a team that is a perennial bowl team and a team with legitimate expectations this year. And while the Sun Belt is rock solid now, that's a really, really good league. Everyone will tell you that. The personnel in that league is tremendous. And the teams that you'll have to face from a talent standpoint year in, year out is a handful. There's no secret. South and many others in the Sun Belt, their players are actively getting recruited by other places because of how good the talent is in that conference as a whole. So I think there's a lot to be excited about with South. I think Major's done a good job once Kane decided to become the DC at Bama. I think Major's done a good job stepping in and kind of keeping things the same, kind of keeping things on the same straight line path that they were on, but tough schedule this year. And they had some diamonds in the rough that were found. And now finding some of those replacements for the guys that left will be a real challenge. But it's hard to bet against them, given what they've done the last few years.
No, there is. He's got some options at quarterback, as you mentioned. You get Zach Pyron from Georgia Tech. You got Bishop Davenport there. He said he'll get more reps in the spring. But going back to what you pointed out, Darius McKenzie, quarterback of the defense, back. Blaine Myrick back at off-the-ball linebacker as well. That's 2 of your top 3 leading tacklers that are back from a year ago. And he sounds like he feels pretty good about some of the younger defensive linemen. Well, have been younger in previous years, but now their turn to maybe step in and be able to do some damage up front. So it'll be an interesting watch because, as you stated, quarterback, running back, you lose 2 of those that were as productive as they were, it's concerning. But I'll say this, after it all went down and I went back to watch Fluff Bothwell because I was going to have to cover Mississippi State, Kentrell Bullock is a kid that I kept seeing showing up on film, and I was like, which one are they getting? Because I like both these guys.
Yeah.
And he can go. So they'll be fine at running back. Kid averaged basically 12 yards a carry last year on 152 carries.
Right.
He's explosive. So there are parts of his game that I like more than Bothwell's. But you lose a quarterback that had what Gio had, that's tough, man. You can't just replug that.
No, he was a good player for him. But I like Zach Pyron, who they brought down from Georgia Tech. He filled in a couple times last year when Haynes King was a little banged up. Like, he's got some mobility, he's got some athleticism. But it sounds like the guy that is kind of holding things down, Gavin, is doing a pretty good job with where they're at. Has a good feel for the position. Or Bishop Davenport spot started in the past. So with him having a leg up, it's good, but it's nice to know that competition is going to continue on this. They're going to get a good long look from the other 2 guys, see if those guys can potentially unseat Bishop Davenport there in the lead spot, which is helpful because there is some turnover on both lines of scrimmage.
All right, so we got some other college football news. We'll get you on the other football news in general. A new coach in state, a new stadium going up, some transfer news, eligibility news around all of football next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. I have some other football news we're going to get to here in just a moment. Jolly clip 11, and I'm not going to lead into it. I'm not going to tell anybody what it is. I have two names that I want to throw out during this segment that I just want to get your responses to. Play clip 11 for everyone just to hear quickly.
I say it's been definitely humbling. You know, it's a little hotter up here, you know, that wise in the summer, but the football definitely been humbling, bigger, faster, stronger guys.
That is a quarterback maybe on the roster at Missouri. Craig, do you want to take a guess at who that is?
Prabula.
Nate Johnson.
Ah.
Yeah, that was my response.
He's been around for a minute.
Still in there?
Let's go. The guy from Utah?
Vandy, Utah, now Missouri.
Let's go.
I was also watching some
good
highlights.
Good bootleg quarterback.
Very good bootleg quarterback. Yes, I've actually had some good responses on Twitter to that question. I was watching some highlights of different teams yesterday, and I saw some Duke highlights. And Darian Mensah completed a pass to
Cooper Flag.
No.
Conkinipple.
He's easily defended, John. Remember? He couldn't go up and catch that. Nope.
What position? Tight end or receiver?
Hybrid. Right in between those two.
Landon King.
Some fans would say definitively tight end. Other fans would say has to be a wide receiver.
Landon King.
Mm-hmm.
That boy's still playing college ball.
He's back.
Yeah.
If only he was at Auburn. Think
if
how
only
good
he was
they'd
a
be
receiver.
Cam Colvin.
Wasting him at tight end.
Yeah. Landon King.
Love that.
I love seeing those names show up just out of. You're like, that kid still plays college football.
There's so many of those. There's so many of those.
Yeah.
There's a ton of them. All right, some other news. Kusha Christian has hired Russ Probst as its interim head football coach.
Where?
Kusa Christian.
It's in Gadsden. Okay, just wanted to see if there was anything on that.
I just pulled up the article. I got to read it.
Well, I feel like I gave you
the gist of
the takeaways. If you need further details on it, go right ahead.
I'm gonna go find some.
Feel free. Have you talked to your dad about Hawaii getting a new Aloha Stadium?
No, I haven't. But Hawaii is a little bit of a sneaky good team this year.
If they build a new stadium out there, though, I mean, we see all these people building stadiums to get certain things. I imagine they're going to get some things. They get the Pro Bowl back?
I think they are going back to Hawaii this year. I think I saw that recently. Like, they're going back at some point here pretty soon. It was in Orlando and Vegas, a bunch of other spots. I think they are going back to Hawaii at some point.
All right, a couple starting quarterbacks. Michigan transfer Jaden Dingle is going to start at San Diego State, and Colorado, Nevada quarterback Brendan Lewis is going to get the start at Memphis. He does move the meter for you.
Yeah.
Also, Oregon State transfer Ben Gulbertson is going to be the starter at Stanford.
Stanford.
Correct. Not Sanford, not Chris Hatcher's team. Stanford.
Correct.
Yes.
I would say that the Memphis one is interesting with Brandon Lewis because Memphis is one of those teams that's always going to have pretty decent talent. It's the first time they've had a new quarterback, I think, in a decade. So that one is probably worth following a little bit for sure.
Tennessee is going back to Adidas.
Adidas.
But it's a little bit more than just that. Not necessarily a reason to just go and get a new apparel deal. Apparently, there's going to be more money that Tennessee is going to inject into the athletic department in different ways. So this may be a new agreement moving ahead as to sort of how these partnerships are going to take place. Also, On3 reported yesterday, dramatic pause, Tennessee is trending towards naming Joey Aguilar the starting quarterback.
Crystal ball?
Oh, boy.
If you want to do that,
if
you want to walk out on that limb and tell me that Tennessee is trending towards Joey Aguilar as a starter, you go out on that limb by yourself, sir.
I don't think that's unlikely. But what I would say about it.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
What? What's wrong with that?
We're attempting to break news by saying that the obvious starter is being trended upon towards maybe being the starter? Are we just out of things to talk about?
Based on what I've been told, he's not the obvious starter. It sounds like
You're
George
right.
McIntyre, the freshman, has had a really good camp.
Yep.
It doesn't mean that Aguilar won't
Put him
end
out
up
there
being the
week
guy.
1. Good luck with that.
I'm not saying he needs to start week 1. I'm just saying that the competition's maybe been a little bit more intense
You're going
than
to have to
originally
fight your rear
anticipated.
end off to win that game anyway. Go out there with a freshman quarterback and see how that goes.
I'm just telling you what the buzz is. Don't yell at me.
The buzz is that it's trending towards Joey Aguilar, actually.
I'm not
I don't
saying
know what
it's
buzz, the buzz that
It's
has been
trending.
reported. It is actually reported buzz.
That's fine.
This maybe right here is factual. Okay? This probability
always
is of
factual.
certainty. I don't know what your maybes are, but this possibility that is being trended upon is actual factual news that's being reported.
Was it a graphic?
Sir?
Was there a graphic?
I got to go back and look, probably. Knowing them, yeah, maybe. Sure. Why not? Back with more after this. All right, so yesterday I went on with our friend Matt Moscana in Baton Rouge. And we had a further conversation about his take on LSU's offensive line last year. He couldn't run block. I take that personal. I don't think they were given the chance to be good run blockers. You can get a chance to be healthier at Game Day Men's Health. Free PSA test, free testosterone test, and you get minimal upfront cost in the programs they offer. Save 10% on anything they do by mentioning Mac and Cube in the morning at GameDayMen'sHealth.com. So I went on and we got this back and forth, and he's frustrated. I'm frustrated. I was like, all you got to do is hand the ball. He's like, how can he asked me, how can they help this group be better at run blocking this year? And I said, pick a human on earth and just hand them the football. That's literally it. That's all you got to do. So Living Lambo, some random Twitter account that is an LSU fan, he said, Matt, and I'm tagged in this, so I saw it also. I went back and looked at how many times LSU ran the ball in back-to-back plays last season. You want to take a guess? rush plays on consecutive downs over the course of an entire season.
Does that include taking 2 consecutive knees?
I'm going to say no. But
11.
No, that would be beyond egregious.
About to say
we're talking about an entire season
31
of plays.
Yeah, I was going to say
31. Damien, you go with how many?
40.
40 times. Let's go to LSU offense. How many plays did they run last year? Let's see. They had 534 pass attempts, and they had 373 rush attempts. All right, so what? We're about 1,000 plays? According to Living Lambeau, 28 times in an entire season, they ran the ball in consecutive downs. Then he follows it up with, of those 28, 13 were a downs to first down situation. So if it were 2nd and 4, they ran for 6, they would then run it again on first down. Probably not easy to pick that out at all.
No.
Safe to say LSU run game hit the floor last year, Greg. But Chanel Foreign can maybe help them.
They can. They have tremendous inventory on stock. 40,000 square feet of Cortex